A lot of people quit. 92% of people quit New Year's goals. 73% quit fitness goals, and 50% quit new gym memberships. What's up, everybody? In this video, I'm going to be talking about burning the effing ships. When you start a project, when you go on an adventure of improvement, you have to burn the ships. You have to eliminate all possibility of an exit strategy. I went to business school and they talk about exit strategies and how important they are. When you are going to the gym, starting a new fitness routine, when you are learning how to sew, when you are trying to teach yourself guitar, you have to eliminate any possibility of an exit strategy. You have to burn the ships, and that's what this video is about. We're going to talk about what it takes to make sure that you continue a project and you don't bail on yourself. We all know people will start a project, New Year's comes, they're like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to buy clothes and join a gym. That novelty, that excitement gets them fueled, gets them motivated, and they do it. They start a membership. They start going to the gym. They're going every week. They're hitting it hard. But after a while, that novelty, that excitement starts to go down. Let's talk about why, and let's talk about how not to do that. I've quit more projects than I'd be happy to talk about, but I'm gonna talk about them today. There's two big projects that I've started and stopped. One of them was a gym back in 2014. I was a little bit flushed with cash. I had some money to spend, and that's for a separate video, but having money, a lot of money to spend can be dangerous. So I started a gym. That lasted 5 years. So from 2014 to the end of 2019 is when I sold it. And just so happened I sold it, right before the pandemic, which was just convenient timing. And my second project, oddly enough, I started it while I was doing the gym. And, going back to that myself I started it in 2017 is when I started this second project. Shiny object syndrome. That's what I call SOS for, creatives and entrepreneurs, shiny object syndrome. I had a gym. It was taking a good chunk of my time, and I decided to do something else. Thinking back, of course, hindsight is 2020, never would have done that. And to top it all off, they were both service-based businesses. And those take a huge amount of time and are nearly impossible to scale. When you're a solo creator like me, I'm a solo creator, the costs are lower to start projects, but it's so easy to abandon them. There's nobody holding you accountable. There's an easy exit. So when the going gets tough, you're like, wasn't for me, so I'm just not gonna do it. A solo project, a solo entrepreneur, a solo creator, it requires an internal pressure. You need to do it yourself. You need to find a way to push through all the reasons that we're gonna talk about today in this video. We have to push through. There's no boss, there's no colleagues, there's nobody looking over your shoulder to make sure that you are doing what you're supposed to be doing every day. And that is one of the biggest reasons why it's just so easy to quit these projects. once the novelty wears off, there's no system in place to make sure that you push through when the going gets tough. I wanted to share a story. I have it right here. It's the burn the ships moment. I don't know if you're familiar with this. This is something that's commonly thrown around when it comes to this idea of quitting. It's called burn the ships. And I'll read the story to you. In 1519, a Spanish conquistador, Hernán Cortés, landed in Mexico with a small army to begin the conquest of the Aztec Empire. The mission was dangerous. They were vastly outnumbered in a foreign land with no guarantee of success. His men were nervous and they wanted to turn back. So Cortés gave a legendary order: burn the ships. No way home, no retreat. Only one option: move forward and win. And they did win, so the story goes. When there's no way out, you find a way forward. So you hear a lot in business, there's this idea of an exit strategy. And that's not necessarily what we're talking about or what I'm talking about right now. Having an exit strategy, it's like, okay, you're in business, you've been in business for, X how many years. All right, let me start over. You start a business, but what is the exit strategy? What are you gonna do to make sure the business will outlast the person? That's not what I'm talking about. Actually, in this case, you don't want an exit strategy. When you burn the ships, you are literally eliminating, you're burning away any possible exit strategy at all. So starting a project, you want to eliminate any possibility of an exit strategy. I wanted to talk about testing ideas versus going all in. This is where experience comes into play, or talking to someone who has been in the shoes that you want to potentially fill. I've been there, and this is me telling you, my story. You want to know for sure if it's something that you want to commit to. When it comes to, so in the case of the gym, in case of that other business I mentioned, of the two service-based businesses I mentioned at the beginning, those, they cost money, they were service-based, and I was doing it as a solo entrepreneur. That's a recipe for disaster. So I would not have done that in hindsight. So that's not something that you just dabble in. Something like YouTube. This is what a lot of my videos are gonna be about, because it's the experience that I'm having right now. I am not dabbling. This is video. A large part that I'm doing this video is to reinforce to myself that I'm all in. This is me burning my ship, so to speak. I want to make sure that there is no way for me to quit. I have started and quit YouTube many times. I've started and quit blogs, LinkedIn's, Instagram. I'm working on being consistent with TikTok, but just I've looking at other people's YouTube's channels. I came across a video the other day and it got like 15,000 views. I went to the guy's channel and he doesn't have 1,000 subscribers. He had like 900 some subscribers. I was like, damn, he had a video that had 15,000 views. What's going on here? And you can always go back to the oldest video, and it's always that video number one. Well, not always, but generally you'll find video number one, some guy or girl saying, yeah, I'm starting a YouTube channel. This is video number one. I'm going to put out a video every week. and stay tuned, like and subscribe, and maybe you see another 10 videos after that, and then all of a sudden there's no more videos. And you see this time and time again, and I'm sick of it. I'm absolutely sick of it. It's not that difficult to put out videos. I'm going on a bit of a rant here. Burning the ships, removing the option to quit. So let's move on to 5 ways to make sure that you don't quit. Number 1, go public and create stakes. I added create stakes because just going public, I think, is not enough. This is me going public, but it's not really burning the ships. Going public is definitely a way it creates peer pressure. You can potentially be embarrassed if I say I'm going to be doing all this stuff and then I stop doing it, in a way I'm embarrassed, but who really cares at the end of the day? So when you create stakes, that really adds, especially some monetary stakes. So I remember a few times I've done, weight loss contests with friends. And that is a good combination of going public and creating stakes. And I will win those for sure. It's part of my personality. That's just something I will do. So going public, creating stakes, that is a way that you increase accountability and it makes quitting more painful. Number 2, create a system/schedule. Don't wait for inspiration. Don't wait for motivation. Let's just say I've talked to a few authors, but I've read, books about authors, and they don't necessarily just sit around waiting for inspiration to strike. I've heard a quote sometimes that authors, they will wait for inspiration to strike, and oddly enough, it strikes at 8 a.m. every day. The idea is not to just wait for inspiration, just create a schedule. And if you stick to that schedule, you create a routine. It's those routines. Talk about habits. Humans are, routine. We love routines. We will stick to routines. We drive the same way, we eat food the same way, as soon as we're very mechanical in that sense. So creating a schedule, creating a system, it's not waiting for motivation, it's making sure that you just have a routine in place that you consistently do. Number 3, lower the barrier, make it easy. Lowering the barrier to me is, let's just call it make it easy. I remember listening to, I think it was Tim Ferriss, saying that, what would this look like if it were easy? So taking the burden of this has to be perfect, this has to be a certain way, just removing that, just getting that out of the equation, just makes everything so much easier and simpler. You don't want to overcomplicate things. That leads to just not executing, and just make it easy. If it's, talking about YouTube, if it's just getting out the iPhone and talking to the phone, that's lowering that barrier, just making it easy to execute. Number 4, track the reps, not the results. So the results will come over time, but that's not the metric to determine how to make sure that you commit to doing something. The way you commit is by tracking it. So eventually I do want to make a video about what I call the 15-minute marvel, and all it is I use Google Sheets, and I have every day of the week, Monday through Sunday, I have the days all broken up into 15-minute segments. This is a way for me to track, have I been doing YouTube? So I've committed myself to 3 hours a day so far of YouTube. And I want to see how far that gets me. The idea for me is to post twice a week on Tuesdays and Fridays. So does 3 hours a day, does that result in me being able to do this, posting on Tuesdays and Fridays? So, and if it's not, or if I'm not posting on Tuesdays and Fridays, I can look back. Am I putting in the time? Am I doing what I said I would do in order to get this done? So I'm tracking it, and that's in a way of holding myself accountable. I almost, as being a solo entrepreneur, I have to, again, keep myself accountable. I will clock in and out of that. So it's just a way to make sure that I'm looking over my own shoulder and I'm doing the things that make sure that I stay accountable. And number 5, make it who you are. Identity, not effort. This one, okay, make it who you are. That means, to me, do what you know. I've heard that many a times. Do the things that become easy to you. This is me. I have my computer open here. I have a few notes on here, but for the most part, it's just me talking into a little tiny dot in the lens and just going over what I know, my experiences. And this is what the format will be in the near future. It will evolve over time. Quick side note on this. This is interesting because this point here about doing what you know. I know what I know, but I'm not necessarily good at explaining what I know. It sounds good in my head, but when you try to explain it on video, when you try to talk it into a camera, then I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna edit this video, I'm gonna listen to myself again, and I'm gonna hear myself talking, and I know I'm gonna, David, yeah, you're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about, but that's gonna improve over time. So just a side note on doing this type of, I consider this journaling. This is a way to you're hearing yourself talk, and it's a way to not reinforce. It's just you're going to be able to explain yourself better over time. When you hear people talk and things just flow really well, that's experience. That's them having done this many times, and they've been able to figure out how to speak and how to explain themselves in a way that just is to the point and meticulous. So over time, these videos will get better, I know. And I'm gonna start wrapping it up here. Most people quit. I've been those people, so I get it, but I can refuse to be that person. So can you. You don't have to be that person who you want to improve. You make a choice in your mind that I want to be a better person. I don't want to be the person that I am now. In the future, I want to be that person that I inspire to be. You can be that person 100%. And this is me telling myself right now that I am not going to be that person. I am going to be the person who can freaking turn on the camera and talk to that camera and do it over and over again. So I am going to be that person who does not quit. This time I am burning the ships. So that is, just think of that, burning the ships. This conquistador, he gets to Mexico and he's like, hey guys, we're totally outnumbered. We're probably not gonna pull this off, but you know what? Fuck it. Burn the goddamn ships, because we're gonna die trying. We're not gonna go, into we're not gonna go from this beach and inland and start fighting, and then all of a sudden we're like, oh, retreat, you know? When there is a retreat option, then you know, what sort of effort are you gonna put into it? I can just stop. You know, I can just stop. If there's a freaking gun to your head, I mean, you're gonna put in the effort. So burn the motherfucking ships, you know? So that's it. Hopefully you got some good insights from this video. I think that idea, or just picture that, burning the ships. Just whenever you start something, just figure out a way to eliminate the exit strategy. You want to make sure that you cannot quit this thing. If it's a time commitment, if you're not dumping out a bunch of money into the thing, and YouTube is just that. It doesn't cost a lot of money, it just takes time. And when you think of it in terms of, I just gotta commit, I gotta just put in the time, and I'm just not gonna quit. Commit, don't quit. Thanks guys, we'll see you later.